The big story we are tracking very closely on NDTV, the Supreme Court's strong observations on the NEET case. Well, the Supreme Court has asked the government to form a multidisciplinary panel of experts to look at the entire paper leak issue. In fact, the Supreme Court, in a strong observation, also said that the government should stop being in denial and accept that there was indeed a paper leak. The Supreme Court says the focus now is to determine and ascertain the extent of the paper leak, saying that there's no doubt that the sanctity of the examination, the integrity of the examination has indeed been compromised. Aishwarya Jain, our colleague, continues to be with us from the Supreme Court. So Aishwarya, the next hearing on Thursday, take us through all the arguments that were made by the petitioners. The petitioners continue to demand retest. The Supreme Court saying it's our last option, though of course we have to determine the extent of the paper leak.
Well, certainly big observations from the Supreme Court today as far as the entire arguments are concerned. The petitions which were filed from the students who wanted retest, from the students who do not want these retests to be done, also from the NTA and the centre filing affidavits. But the Supreme Court of India making very clear that yes, the leak of question paper had taken place and that has led to the compromise of the sanctity of the examinations, which is beyond the doubt. The Supreme Court also raising questions that how come there had been 67 students who got 100 out of 100 marks compared to the previous few years where only 1 or 2 or 3 students had got 100 out of 100 marks, the full marks in these NEET examinations, which is one of the toughest examinations in this country. Also, the Supreme Court making an observation that they are dealing with a career of 23 lakh students over here and they do not want the re-examinations to be done. That would be again the last option. But what about the beneficiaries of these paper leak? They have to be ruthless in that way as far as the investigation is concerned. The Central Bureau of Investigation had to file the status report by Thursday. Nodal lawyers had to be appointed by the petitioners on one side who wanted retest, on the other who do not want the retest, and from the NTA and from the centre as well. It was also stated by the Supreme Court that they have to give the timeline and the dateline as to what had been fixed. The investigation from the investigation point of view, the Supreme Court clearly had asked the status report as to how many people had been arrested so far and how widespread this paper leak was, what had been come into the Telegram app, the question papers, and what was the timeline all about. So all of these had to be given in a written form to the Supreme Court in an affidavit before Thursday when the hearing will resume. But let me take away from a few of the petitioners over here, their reactions as to what they think of Supreme Court's observation over here. The Supreme Court making it very clear today that, of course, the paper leak had happened and that had led to compromise sanctity of the examination. Your first response as the petitioner, what was your demand?
Yeah, our major demand was the re-exam. We demanded re-exam of NEET because of 3 issues: the malpractices as well as the paper leak which has happened in Patna and Jharkhand. And the alternative, we demanded a SIT agency under judicial to be clear and concise. Issues should come out.
Are you satisfied with the observations being made by the Supreme Court today? On one side, of course, they have stated that the sanctity of the examination had been compromised. But the last option would be, according to them, will be the retest, because it takes a lot of financial burden. It takes a lot of logistical issues as well to conduct re-examination. 23 lakh students' career is on verge. So do you think that these observations and the answers that have been demanded by the centre, by the NTA, is something that you're satisfied with?
Yeah, obviously, court has given this verdict to NTA, and CBI. What was the inquiry happened till now to queue up the evidence, and we are clear. The CBI, which has inquiring, it's clear there was a clear incident of paper leak. Hopefully, this will go to the recancellation of exam, and the logistics is not clear. The Article 14 and 16 says the justice and should be based on equality for all. So if paper leak has happened at one place, so other people also should get that justice. So hopefully we are hopeful that this re-exam should happen and justice will come on behalf of us.
Your response to the Supreme Court observation?
I think that the apex court is going on right because that this Supreme Court takes time for a judgment, and we think that it is a good decision for taking time and observing all the situations, all the happenings.
So clearly, they are clearly happy as far as the Supreme Court hearing took place today. As they are saying that, of course, this is going in a right way. The answers had been sought by the Supreme Court from different agencies who are being involved in investigating, and also from the central government as well. Of course, one of the major observation and the statement that the CGI today had made, that government should not be in a denial mode. And when the paper leak has happened, it had come out in open, and certainly the government had to be responsive enough. The timeline has to be decided as to what should be the future course of action. Of course, a multi-disciplinary probe should also be initiated by the government of India.